Wonderful. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is a sincere joy and pleasure to jump on around midday here while I'm still on vacation in beautiful Barbados. And it's my honest pleasure and joy to be here with my mother, Vivian-Anne Gittens, a very accomplished lady. She has a profile that's like 2 pages long, and I'm so grateful that she's my mother. She has had an excellent career. She was a former CEO of the Nation Publishing Company here in Barbados, sat on several boards. So she was the chair of statutory board. Sat on it, forgive me, and also sat on the RBC board here in Barbados, an avid Rotarian, been in the Rotary for over 20 years and still very committed to it, maybe just slowing down a bit. And also we were both from QC represent, and she was very instrumental in the various fundraising and the pavilion work that has come to fruition, which we're grateful for. And forgive me if I've missed anything. I'm a little bit ad-libbing, but it's really my pleasure to have my mom here with us today. And she has really been one of the key voices who's spoken to my life about finances, but not only through her words, but through her actions. And so today, we are going to talk about your first and early years of earnings. And I'll just open up and ask my mom, what were your first and early years of earnings like?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, John, for that exciting introduction. Most of it I hope was true.
Yes, mommy.
But I am eager to get to the topic because I am very, very committed to helping persons to understand how to handle their money to their advantage and to their happiness, to their satisfaction. And my key points with early earnings, the early time, the very first time you have a job, not so much like when you're a student, a cadet job, but when you've graduated or left school or left college and started your full-time work. And you may find that you may be getting what seems to be a small salary, but it's important for me to let young people know that the earlier you start to look at your future and putting aside for your future, the better. Because the earlier you start, the more workers you can get to help you. And those workers are the ones that come from compound interest. So you try to get some kind of earnings on your savings. And over a period of time, you have more and more workers working for you because compound interest is further compounded every year, compounded some more. And therefore, if you start early and you are in like somewhere between 18 and 24 in terms of your first job, and you get to around 35, sometimes you can stop saving. Someone who did not and they have to put down more. You don't have to put down anything sometimes because you can see this is what sufficient for what I have in mind, but they have to put down much more. They can start with a little few pennies or few dollars that you have started with. But I also like to remind young people that I'm not putting you into a straight jacket. So what I like to see you do with those first earnings and being able to truly evaluate them is for you to keep track of how much you earn, how much is paid away for taxes and all those other things that you cannot avoid, and how much you have available to you and how that is spent. And I mean actually keeping a written record, because what I found is, even for adults, how you think you spend your money and how you actually spend it is two different things. So it's very important to keep that eye on exactly how you're spending your money. And in fact, that gives you a little idea of how you might be able to save a little dollar more, or a little $2 more, a little $5 more by leaving out that latte or that chefette sandwich or whatever. So yes, those are two important things, that you start early and you keep track. And after time when you've kept track, you can stop keeping track. But you must keep track to get a sense of who you are in terms of handling your money and how you're spending it and saving it and investing it.
Yeah. Really great point. I'll say it a little bit differently. It's like what gets tracked gets done. And so often if you are not tracking your finances, you're not going to be able to achieve what you might want to achieve financially in the time frame that you want. And it is indeed several years ago, I did a Compass Financial course, and I think I shared about it on this channel. And I was challenged to track my actual spending for 90 days, at least 30 in 90 days. And it is amazing when you actually write down everything, not only the automatic things, be it rent or mortgage, but when you go buy that McDonald's or Chefette, or when you go buy that tea or latte, or when you go to a cinema, it's amazing how those things can add up, and you can see leakages and make perhaps better choices. But first, she dodged my first question. I asked her what were her early years of income about. I didn't forget. I think she shared some really great points, but I want to put her on the spot. So
I have to admit that I never got a hold of my finances until I was probably in my later 20s. I was so happy to be earning. I was just spending money as I got it. And I was spending all of it too. But I was guided to some extent by a finance professional who sat down and spoke to me about how to handle my money. And only this week I visited him and his family to let him know how much that early advice served me throughout my life. Because he pointed not only about the stage that I was at, but the stage I was becoming in terms of maybe getting married and having a family, and therefore needing money at a certain stage, not only for myself and managing the household, but to educate my children and how to set aside money to suit. And I mean, that was really formidable. So it's useful sometimes if you're not sure to get the assistance of a financial advisor. But I'm saying, even without a financial advisor, when you keep track of what you're doing and you see what you're doing with your money, you get a better sense personally of what you really want to do with it. You think of the things you want to achieve in life.
Yeah, I think this is a really great point. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, why my mom is so excited to be interviewed by me today, is her way of being that counsel that hopefully you might meet in your early years that could help you get that much further ahead. Because one of the points that she raised, even though she's maybe started a little bit later in her 20s, she got wise counsel. And not only did she get wise counsel, but she took action.
Yeah.
So as we do these videos and share these small nuggets, I want to encourage each of you, especially if you're just graduating from university, to sit down and start tracking, start thinking about your goals and take action. All right. That being said, one of the key things that help people to take action and build that base if they start early, that allow them to stop earlier than others because of the time value of money, is investing. But investing can be quite a broad topic.
Yes.
So maybe what you can do is share with us what are different types of investments and what would be something more reachable at that age.
Yeah, investment is a formidable word. And many people stay away from it because they feel they're not competent to invest and so on. But the very best investment in the first instance, the very best anyone can do, is just to save some money, save some part of what you earn. I think you'll be surprised if you even put down less than $100 on a regular basis, and then you go and look at it after 2 years, you will be shocked by how much it has increased to, by amount you've put it in, plus you earn. So when I talk about investing, I don't talk about going and buying stocks and shares and bonds and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can do that when you have more substantial funds. Investing is just taking care of some of your money, just earning account where it can earn interest on a compounded level. So that I am a credit unionist. I don't believe in the bank because the bank don't give you any interest. The banks nowadays do 0.001% interest. Not interest. So you can add some more knots on that. So I'm very much here in Barbados encouraging you to join a credit union. There's so many benefits to the credit union. When you're born from a credit union, you're born from yourself, and to the extent that the credit union is its budget is such and its operation is such that it makes a bit more money than it had expected, you will get back what's called a patronage refund, and that is some part of the interest you've paid. No, that would never have happened in a bank. They would never give you back they would never give you back any interest. But the more important thing is to save, and to save on a consistent basis and shock yourself. Maybe I'd like to recommend that you save, even if it is $15, and do not even look back at it until maybe like 24 months, and then look and see. And that you'll be so surprised about how that has accumulated over the time from just the amount going in on a consistent basis. You say, to talk to yourself, only $15? Oh, I have a couple of $100 here or whatever. And then you'll be more encouraged to save a bigger amount, because you see for yourself that just saving a bit of your money, it accumulates substantially. So the first step is to look at how you're spending and keep some record, so you can eke out $1 here and $1 there from the cinema or from the snacks or from even entertaining friends, because going out with friends and so on, you really feel very happy, but it really is very negative on your on your finances. No, you have a nice time, but it's usually very negative on your finances. So even then, you begin to plan, how can I budget for out with my friends and still keep my budget on total? So I've been out with them last week, so I don't have to go out with them this week or next week. I might go with them at the end of the month when I get paid again. But the point about it is that you get a balance about spending money on various things and the extent to which you spend, and the extent to which you save. Because any amount of money you have is either to spend or to save. And saving is an investment in itself. And if you can save and earn interest on the saving, that's good. But being able to invest in more and more formidable vehicles will allow you to earn a better interest. But in your early years, just saving, it's a great start.
Yeah.
It's a habit that is profound to your financial success later on.
That's a really great point. I want to add two things. I think developing the habit to be putting aside consistently some part of your income is great to develop that habit early and to start with some simple savings. And I want to share that I was talking to my sister-in-law, and I remember telling her when she first had her first daughter, I said, listen, I know things might be tight, but just start putting aside a little bit of money for that child for education now, because it really makes a difference. I said, even if it's $5.
Yeah.
And just last year, I was talking to her, end of last year, we were having our Christmas dinner, and she was smiling. She said, Joanne, you know what? I was just putting some here and there, and now I have about $5,000. And her children are still young. And so, I mean, she is so much further ahead, right? So, and just creating that discipline and that habit of putting something aside and then going from there, as Mom says, there are many other areas. Investment is a formidable word, but starting with that habit allows you to have the capital to then look at other things as they present themselves. I want to come back to a point that you made that I really want to draw out, and it's around balance. Mm-hmm. You said balancing, you gave the example of, managing the money, but I think also for your early years, we have to look at how we balance our financial fulfillment. So can you speak a little bit more about that, balancing short-term, long-term, and so forth?
I want to underwrite, especially for young people, that life is about balance, and therefore it helps you to know a bit more about yourself and your family and where you came from and where you want to go and so on. Because if each of us knew exactly how long we would live, we might be able to manage our money very well.
Take different decisions.
So balance is about not being cruel to yourself in your saving and yet not going overboard the other way. Have some enjoyment in life, but don't over-enjoy to the point that it sacrifices your later years, particularly your retirement years, because eventually it's going to come a time where you can no longer work or do not care to work after working for maybe 30, 40, whatever years. So balance provides that, where you, although you are trying to save some money, you also want to find times that you can enjoy as you go along. So it's not to create something that is uncomfortable to you. And part of getting that balance is understanding where you fit in your family and the family that you were involved with, and even like the health issues that you may possibly be expected to have later in life. So balance is important, and therefore you need to investigate those matters to know, okay, nearly one of my family has had some kind of encounter with cancer, so I may have it. So I'm going to lay aside even a little bit more that I can face and manage any medical possibilities. And investing is a very important topic. On the side of investing is insurance. So I will speak on another presentation with Joanne about insurance. But sometimes when you have something in your life that you feel will come about, you might want to take out some kind of insurance to cover that, or some kind of insurance that will come into value. That even when you have your children, you might want to take a policy that allows you to have an insurance policy that will mature when your child is 18 years old and likely to be going into college, either locally or overseas. So insurance is also a possibility
at this age.
Yeah, but that goes back to the idea of balance, and we do not know what is involved in terms of life, or how long we would live, or if we will have something like a major setback, or if we will have something that be very successful. If we knew, we'd be even smarter about how we handle our money.
Yeah. Mom, thank you so much for jumping on. This is just a little sample. I'm hoping to do at least a second interview this coming Saturday, just expounding a bit more. And I actually just want to add that one point about insurance. It's a great thing if it is something that you plan in to start at an early age, because usually premiums can be a lot cheaper if you get it earlier in life. Anyway, don't want to dig deep into that, because I think we can do another interview on that at a later stage. What I want to encourage you to do is, after this, what is the one action you're going to take? The one thing I think my mother stressed, first of all, is tracking, right? Writing down. So can I challenge you for the next 30 days to track every piece of money that comes through your hands, be it electronically in your bank fund or actually cash that you touch and spend? And two, another big thing that we highlighted was the importance of saving. So if you're not putting aside something consistently on a monthly basis from your pay, and you are in your early years of retirement, consider this as another challenge. If you do both, you are way ahead. But do one or the other. I challenge you to take a little bit every month and put it into a savings account, ideally a high interest savings account. Here in the Caribbean, credit unions are really good, but I'm from Canada, and we have lots of what we call virtual banks that also give high interest. And I'm just shouting that out because I have a wide variety of viewers. So if you are in North America, there are other tools that might leverage a better interest, but we are not big fans of big banks. All right. Okay. Really a pleasure. You're going to see my mother again. I'm grateful again that she's my mom. And we will see you on Saturday for another live. So tune in then. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. Joshua.